February 9th, 2024, everyone remembers where they were when time stopped. For many here in Nigeria and indeed around the world, the moment they found out the trailblazing icon and CEO of Access Bank, Dr. Herbert Wigwe, CFR, was killed in a helicopter crash alongside his wife Doreen and son Chizzy is unforgettable. 1 year later, family, friends, and future generations of the Wigwe legacy gathered in Lagos for a night of tributes and the celebration of irreplaceable lives. Adefemi Akinsonya reports.
The surest fact about life is that it will end. A harsh truth no one wanted to believe when news of that fatal helicopter crash broke. On the 9th of February 2024, co-founder and CEO of Access Bank, Dr. Herbert Wigwe, was on board with his wife Doreen and their firstborn son Chizzy. Their deaths sent shockwaves around the world. A year later, the loss still strikes a chord. At a memorial service held at the Echo Hotel in Lagos's Victoria Island, the pain was palpable. With every prayer given.
To the children, I want to encourage you. Your help cometh from the Lord. Do your best in life to achieve. And Anna and David and Okachi, keep your father's memory alive. As Governor Sanwo-Olu said, you have risen up well with courage and strength. Continue to show that leadership, and the Lord will support you.
Every fond memory shared.
I will now interject and say, Dr. Wigwe, I am 5'7". I have police height. And my first son, Sotoye, is 6'2". The family is making progress. Go on.
And every tear shed.
I speak little of Chizzy because it's still very hard that my godson is gone.
It was the strength of Aigoje Aigimokwede, Dr. Herbert Wigwe's dearest friend and business partner, that exemplified the imperfect beauty of grief, rendering this promise to the orphaned Wigwe children.
Tochi, David, Hannah, Okachi. You are mine. Just as Zoji, Aima, Marinike, and Renua were your dads. And I know that because your dad, your mom, Chizzy, are not here, there are times when you must ask yourself, in all of it, will Uncle Aig, Auntie Ofoe, and the rest of the crew always be there? I love you.
The families of the dearly departed, including the Ogunbanjos, whose patriarch, Bamofin Abimbola Ogunbanjo, were called to the front of the stage for a special prayer.
May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you.
His closing remarks.
And with that, the formal event drew to a close. A private dinner reception was held immediately after. Arise News took to the stage for a special introduction.
He was a visionary who reshaped Africa's financial landscape.
It was then that the editor-in-chief of This Day newspaper and chairman of the Arise Media Group, Prince Nduka Bagbena, presented Dr. Wigwe with a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award.
It's a privilege, working with my friend Pastor Itwa, to give our Lifetime Award for a life of consequential service to Herbert Wigwe. A round of applause, please.
Accepting the award on behalf of her father, Tochi Wigwe was a pillar of grace. Such is the greatness of the Wigwe family's impact, tributes flooded in.
Everyone knew when Chizoba laughed who it was. She was always happy, always had a smile on her face, always had something positive to say.
They are irreplaceable. Herbert is irreplaceable as a friend. Herbert is irreplaceable as a partner. And we just miss them, we just miss them.
Well, I don't need to tell Nigeria about the partnership between Herbert and I. And the truth is that I has been able to literally walk seamlessly into his shoes because they had a genuine, true partnership based on trust, as you heard. So we look forward to being able to reach that destination. We know in life that things happen that take us off of our path, but we must never lose focus and never lose sight of what our purpose is and what our passion is.
And first is really to once again thank him for the friendship. He was one of the people that supported me, on the Blue Line Rail project, and you can see all of the results here today.
Albert is that locomotive that can move the heaviest weight. With him by your side, you never look back. If you agree you are going to do something, you can be sure it will be done.
I think that, as you said, I believe that Chizzy was larger than life. I think that, just like my father, I believe that he was way ahead of his time as well. To me, he was the life of it all, really, like the life of the party, the life of our home. He was the jester of our home, and that was how it was from birth. We had a very close relationship as well, and that was how it was until the very end as well.
One thing he really loved doing was spending time with his family. Through his hard work, dedication, and determination, he will forever be remembered. He will forever be in our hearts. I love you, Dad, Mom, and Chizzy.
Despite the strength of the interwoven link between the families in mourning, the frigidity behind their eyes was undeniable. The loss of the Wigwe family is one that many will not get over, but the hope is that they will get through it, because in their footsteps walks the future. A young woman, wise beyond her years, extending an unforgettable legacy with every step. Adefemi Akisoya, Arise News, Lagos.
Also yesterday, family and friends gathered in Lagos to mark the one-year memorial of a former group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, Bamofin Abimbola Ogunbanjo. Ogunbanjo died in a helicopter crash near California, United States on February 9, 2024.
The Church of the Nativity in Parkview Estate, Ikoyi, Lagos on Sunday, playing host to guests who were gathered to mark the 365-day mark of the passing of Mr. Abimbola Ogunbanjo, a businessman and former group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC. Mr. Ogunbanjo died in a helicopter crash near California in the United States of America in February 2024 at 61. 1 year after, members of his immediate family, friends, and even political leaders are here for a special service to celebrate his life and legacies.
We should remember that one day we are going to join the saints triumphant. But what are we doing now that will not allow us to see Jesus? Our dear brother has done his bit, and though it was an unfortunate incident, but there's nothing we can do. We pray that all the family members that were involved in that accident, the good Lord will console them.
Every day for the past 365 days, you've been thought of. Every day for the past 365 days, we've spoken of you. We know you're looking down at us right now with a wry smile. What was the problem? We hold on to that, Abimbola, but we still miss you so much. Bamofi, Abimbola, Olurotimi, Ogunbanjo, OFR. Our late father, Chief Chris Ogunbanjo, used to say, whenever you told him that anybody had transited, "Oh, you try best there."
Ogunbanjo meant different things to different people while he was here, and though he has been gone for a year, his friends and associates still hold him dear in their hearts, as reflected in the turnout of guests at the memorial.
Bimbo was a success story on all accounts. The legacies that he's left behind are there for all of us to bear witness to. The Bible and even the Quran teaches us that the legacies that we must deliberately choose to leave behind are not the legacies of jewelry or houses or vehicles, but legacies of good deeds, legacies of well brought up children, legacies of philanthropy, legacies of a life of impact. And by all accounts, our brother and friend, father, ticked all those boxes.
The short event came to a close with all present especially appreciating the life of impact lived by Abimbola Ogunbanjo. His legacies, many here reiterate, are a perfect reminder to all that what matters at the end is the number of lives that one is able to affect positively in this earthly sojourn.
It's quite unbelievable that it's 1 year already since the sad loss of these great men, irreplaceable certainly, when we talk about great Nigerians, for Dr. Herbert Wigwe, his wife Doreen Chizoba Wigwe, their son Chizi Wigwe, and of course, Bamofin, Abimbola Ogunbanjo. Really sad yesterday, but it was great to be able to gather together to remember their legacies and also to celebrate them. Rufai, I know you were monitoring this.
Yeah, I was monitoring. The big story and the big ask is always, where were you when it happened? I remember, like yesterday, I think we had converged for Ruto Sima's 60th birthday. And it was at the venue there that, the news broke and a lot of people were devastated. I still remember, I think I was with Shalia that day and a couple of other people were speaking and we're just devastated, We just had to go back home that day to make sense of what has happened. Then the story started to trickle in that he was going to see the Super Bowl, and there had been a helicopter attack. And, at some point we were just hoping for the best. But when the story did come out, it was just an outpouring of, pain as regards how this man had impacted so much, had lost his life and had lived such a very short life. And the memorial also did show that pain, where friends, family, well-wishers, everybody gathered there while the memorial went on, and they did show the pain before he was buried, in his hometown. Yeah. But when you look at it, can we ask God, can we blame God? No. We can only have solace in the fact that he lived a good life. Yeah. And that's why I was excited when a couple of months, his dream did spring to life with the Wigwe University, and that came to life when the UK University opened its doors and they had their first matriculation ceremony, which was a good one, and his daughter did speak at the matriculation ceremony, and I said at least one of the dreams he had, did not just go to waste, because he had envisaged that Wigwe University was going to be a sanctuary of all eyes, and we're excited that came to pass. So we can only continue to pray for the family, that God should uphold them. Yeah. We can only pray for peace, concord, and unity in the family. And we can only enjoin them to remember that the greatest way to keep Herbert's legacy will be the unity of the family, the concord of the family, and peace, so that they can indeed continue to shine the light that Herbert was to the world. And may God bless us all.
Amen.
Well, it was Thomas Campbell, 1777 to 1844, who said that to live in the hearts of those we leave behind is not to die. In other words, when you are remembered by people you lived with, worked with, who loved you, who you related with, it means that, your memory endures. And this is the important point about the two events yesterday, the memorial service in honor of Herbert Wigwe, his wife, and also his son, held in Lagos, and also the other event for Bamofin Abimbola Ogunbanjo. I attended the event in honor of Herbert Wigwe, and it was a very moving moment. One point that was made by Pastor Itua that I remembered was that his narrative about a man whose father had died at 107 and who wanted the pastor to go and resurrect the man because he believed that his father must not die. Why will his father die? What a tragedy, what a calamity. Until the pastor said, he asked him, how old was your father? And he said 107. And the whole point that the pastor was making yesterday is that, look, nobody can live forever. Death is a debt that we all owe. But the important thing is how you live your life, the courage that you bring into it. There was a book that was in the park that was distributed yesterday, Herbert Wigwe, Fearless, which is a collection of tributes, 128 pages, and, a lot of photographs, remembering his life. And that book, substantially covered the impact that he made. So it's not just about dying, it's also the impact that you are able to make when you are in life. When they talk about Bamofin Ogunbanjo, who rose to become president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, or about Herbert Wigwe, it's about how they touch other lives. People inspire them. When Wigwe took the microphone yesterday, he talked about how his brother had actually become his own father because he encouraged him, he nurtured him. He tried to push him out of laziness, to which was becoming accustomed in the eyes of his brother. When David Wigwe, the son, also spoke yesterday, it was about impact. Every other person that spoke, either the man who talked about conversations, I think his name is Ogban,
yes,
about conversations with Herbert Wigwe, or even Ige Mokwede himself, the chairman of the holding company. So you see, it's about impact, whether in sports or in philanthropy. And that should be a lesson for everybody. And then, of course, one of the topmost points yesterday was Mia Mottley, the Honorable Prime Minister of Barbados, giving a keynote speech and talking about courage, about the effect of fear and overcoming fear, and the commonalities that people of Nigeria share with the people of Barbados, and how Herbert Wigwe was a bridge between, the diaspora and the president, which was also a point that President Emmanuel Macron echoed, which was also a point that the governors that sent messages, either Dr. Dakpabiodun of Ogun State or Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. I think the lesson of the lives of all that died, is about what can you take from their legacy, their passion, their tenacity. And of course, the wife Chizoba was also praised, and there were persons who paid tribute to the son, his friends. Yeah. I think the MC Alaibe referred to him as the life of the party.
Yes, he was.
Somebody who was like, a carbon copy of his father in terms of his interconnectedness with various constituencies. But we commiserate with both families, the Ogunbanjo family, the Wigwe family, and we pray that God will give, the survivors the courage to continue to live on. And the best way they can remember both men is to continue to nurture their legacy.
Yeah. Well, we celebrated the Fearless ones last night. I had the opportunity to co-MC, and it gives you a bit of a back, or back of the end glimpse into what was the lives of these incredibly irreplaceable individuals. Since a lot has been said about Dr. Herbert Wigwe, and obviously for obvious reasons, for Mrs. Doreen Chizoba Wigwe, she was a quiet force that was truly remarkable. She was a serial entrepreneur. She was enterprising indeed in her ways. And, you know, one thing a lot of people spoke about was her unique ability to be able to make each person feel very special. So even though she wasn't as, you know, out there as, you know, prominent as her husband, but she was truly just a force, a pace setter, and a huge loss to Nigeria indeed. And also their son, Chizi, wow, you know, just cut off in the prime of his life. I remember last year during his memorial, part of his funeral procession, on the night of tributes, or the day of tributes for him, they talked about his work ethic, how he was following very closely in his father's footsteps, and how he was already in his own way building legacies for himself. So to see, you know, that candle in the wind blown out so early was really sad, but it was a good night to remember them. And I think there was also a hint of celebration in the air, because you cannot talk about the lives that they lived and not celebrate. And of course, with Bamofin, Abimbola, Ogunbanjo, I had also a closer look, because we have a documentary that will be shown later on today on this station, where we really x-rayed his life, especially as we look back and just talk to people who knew him in different spheres of his influence, of his passions, his family members, his friend from childhood, his family members. Mr. Abikuku, his wife's brother, spoke on that. Pastor Paul Adefarsin spoke from, you know, the perspective of a childhood friend. Mr. Onyema, Oscar Onyema of the NGX, spoke from his professional life and one of his proudest moments, his achievements in terms of the work he did from transitioning the Nigerian Stock Exchange to the Nigerian Exchange Group. And then, of course, Mr. Ola Alajiki, who is now the partner at Chris Ogunbanjo Legal Practitioners. It was fantastic to see from their lenses what an amazing, incredibly great man he was while he was still with us. So please look out for that package later on today. We'll be showing it at different points in the course of the day. You know, just celebrating these great Nigerians and hoping that the legacies and the life they lived would be a true example for us who are left behind to follow and see how we can impact our world when it's time for us to bow out.